afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today, guys, I got another one for you. Another one. Nubeo did it again, sent me another awesome watch. And what we're going to be talking about today is called the Ravitch. Now, the Ravitch is the name of this watch to describe the color combination. The actual name of the watch, and I got to look it up here because I don't even know. There it is. So, just kidding. So, it's the Ingenuity. Nubeo does get a little confused, I think, on their... Or it's a little confusing with Nubeo as far as their names because they choose kind of a unique name for the watch, but then they have another unique name for the color. So it does become very confusing in my opinion. This is called the Ingenuity. So if you're going to go to the website, link is in the description as always. Don't forget to use the coupon code for Fat Cat Collections specific. I think it's 10% off. Double check it in the description. But a great way to purchase these watches directly from the manufacturer. What I like about Nubeo is they're trying to sell their watches direct to consumer. That becomes a little bit more difficult until you kind of get some brand awareness. But I think when things are moving along pretty nicely here, I know a lot of you guys are telling me all the different Nubeo watches you're buying. And again, Nubeo is working at trying to figure out that sweet spot for the price point. Now this watch is retailing right now on their website for $900. Again, everybody's going to have a different, comfort level in spending. And remember, just because a watch company may charge $900 for this watch and $300 for this watch, it doesn't mean there's any difference in quality. So just rest assured you're going to be seeing different prices. And I think a more competitive pricing structure. I've always said that when it comes to buying watches and collecting watches, you have the guys who buy a few watches, maybe a Rolex, maybe a luxury brand, and spend thousands of dollars on it, and they're kind of done. Then you have the other guys, the addicts like myself, who want to have more and more watches in their collection. A beautiful variety. In order to have a huge variety on a regular working class, working normal salary, salary range, we're not going to go out and spend thousands of dollars on with hundreds of watches, right? Affordable watches, you can have a whole bunch in your collection. And like I said, at the end of the day, the quality when you're comparing watches in this category or of this caliber to Rolexes, there microscopic differences in Rolex. Pop the back open, differences in the movement and the fine attention to detail. But at the end of the day, these are awesome watches. So if you like the Invicta quality, you like the Aragon quality, you like that level of reserve quality you get with those brands, then this is what you're getting with Nubeo. Hands down, if you have trusted me so far when it comes to the recommendations I've given you when I review a watch, then you will love this quality. They're big, they're bold, they're robust, and it's something a little different than getting the same old, I shouldn't say same old, but another Invicta. I know me, I like to have different brands in my collection, so Nubeo definitely checks all the boxes for me. We're going to talk about those as well. So throughout the video, you're going to see pop-ups on the screen here, just showing you, a couple of the specifications, a few close-up shots. But like with any of these videos, I always encourage you guys to go to the website, check it out, read for yourself directly from the manufacturer, and you can see all those really nice close-up shots that they've taken the time to upload to their website, rather than me, show you the close-ups of the watch. But we're going to show you what it looks like on the wrist. This is a beast. So let's first, so I can keep your attention here, I just want to show you the watch real quick. A nice, big, bold, very fun watch. All right, that's all you get. So let's go to the packaging here. So like all the Nubeo watches, they like to use a lot of different colors. I like that they don't always use the exact same box with their watches. They're always a little bit different. At least the ones that I've been sent by Nubeo. So this one here, no exception to that. You have that nice Nubeo branding, which I gotta tell you, I like the Nubeo name. A lot of these other companies out there, lots of great watches. You guys know you see tons on my channel, but some names are good, some names are, can use some work. I think this is a pretty cool name, Nubeo. There's nothing that sounds like it. There's nothing quite like it. It really stands out, and it's very unique. I like it. So now, Nubeo does make two different categories of watches, in my opinion. They have a sea-related and then space-related, and these watches are themed watches. Something I've said while doing these videos and learning about the products and reading and owning them, and enjoying them, is that I think that Nubeo could do, I'm always honest with you guys, and companies of course, I think they could do a better job at tying the theme in with their watches. So a lot of times a watch will have a name, and I'm going to read you where the inspiration for this watch comes from, and we'll talk about that. But they can work a little bit better on that. So hopefully they take a little Fat Cat Collection advice and grow. And I think they will, because the most important thing about a watch is the quality, right? And they got it. So they got that knocked out of the park. So again, we have the Nubeo name right across there. We have the you know, half of the Earth is what I'm trying to articulate. We have half of the Earth shown on the box, right? Just giving you the indication that this is a space-themed or space-related watch. But then they tie in a lot of colors on this. That this is where the confusion, I think, comes in on some things. They tie in colors that, to me, are more dive-related. When now, I'm not saying that orange isn't used in space, but when I think of you know, when I think of space, I think of more deep blues and darkness to it. Again, just my opinion, not a gripe at all. But when I look at this, I automatically want to head towards, my mind goes towards ocean and sea related, and it's not. So, but anyway, very colorful, very fun box. Crack it open. Nubeo branding right across the face, kind of like almost like a cardboard faux leather type material, and you have you know, pretty basic on the inside Nubeo. Your limited edition card here just shows you this number 416 of 500. Instruction manual, warranty card, and the rest is history. Nothing too crazy about the box. Not really a box I'd say is something where you'd want to put out on your, you know, your dresser. It's not like wood or anything. It's kind of more of like furniture, but it's a nice presentation. If you were going to gift this to somebody, they'll be very excited to crack this open and look at it. You know what I mean? Pretty fun. I think actually, you know, for me, I think all these watches are pretty fun to open up. You just, you know, it's like I'm like a kid on Christmas morning with this stuff. So anyway, that's the box. We got it out of the way. So let's take a look at the watch. So let me show you guys a couple close-ups to start with here. And we're going to talk about the specifications, of course. And let's talk about the theme. So what I want to do is read you folks. And when I put this watch out of the frame, I'll pop a picture up to keep you guys kind of captivated by the video, right? I don't want to lose your attention. And, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, I think a video, seeing these watches actually like live, definitely help to sell them, of course, and to you know, give people an idea. One thing I always pride myself on this channel, showing you what the watch looks like on the wrist. Although for a brief moment, you'll still get an idea what it might look like on a guy your size, your height, and your weight. Maybe if it's, you know, similar to mine, right? You get an idea. So all right, let me just talk about. So the model number, and it's the exact reference number, they call it, is the NB6056-44. Retail on this right now is $900. You can buy it right off their website. Links in the description. Use my coupon code if you're going to buy it. You get 10% off, $90 savings on this. All right, so what they say about it is a retrograde functioning split time functional chronograph. Counts out to an incredible 1/10 of a second. And we're going to talk about this movement as well because it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the bull of a precisionist. Just kind of how the hands work. Very cool, very awesome movement. Definitely one of my favorites that I've seen so far. The Ingenuity takes its name from the small robotic helicopter operating on Mars as part of NASA's Mars 2020 mission. Now, the helicopter marked the first time any aircraft had performed the powered controlled flight on another planet and a breakthrough of discoveries beyond our planet. So, all right, so what does that mean? So to me, this is where I get a little bit confused when it comes to Nubeo and their inspiration. So I understand that that the chronograph counts out to an incredible 1/10 of a second, right? That's pretty cool. And we're going to show you that. I'm going to show you that. But bold, commanding, yet comfortable. All right, got it. I understand. But the Ingenuity takes name from the small robotic helicopter. How does this relate to a small robotic helicopter other than you saying, hey, there's Ingenuity here and there's Ingenuity there? That could be said for millions of things on this earth. So to me, I think they could have done a better job tying in the theme. And just for my own reference here, while I got you guys here, let me just go and take a look at what the Ingenuity's robotic helicopter looks like, and just see if maybe I'm missing something as far as the inspiration. Let's see here. Ingenuity helicopter. Alright, so yeah, so very basic looking. I'll pop a picture up here. There's what it looks like. To me, this watch doesn't really, there's nothing to tie this watch in with that helicopter. Now I can see like they have kind of like this kind of support bracket around a couple of the dials here, or the sub-dials, but to me, again, it doesn't really tie this in to the helicopter in any way whatsoever, other than having a engraved picture of the helicopter on the back. So you know, again, I just think that they can do a better job at tying the theme in here. Now, how would I personally tie the theme in? I might have done something maybe with... This helicopter has kind of interesting blades from what I can tell by the picture. Almost like two sets of layered blades, kind of like you'd see on like a double blade airplane, right? I don't know much about avionics, but it has two of those. So maybe something along those lines. I can see that maybe on the hands they tried to kind of mimic the shape by making them kind of like larger and kind of a fatter triangle, but I'm just not really seeing it. Let me see if there's any other close-ups here and see. Yeah, so the blades of the helicopter actually have kind of like these, almost like, and you'll see it in this picture, almost like well, it is kind of a unique shape, I think, you know. I think they could have really duplicated that into the second hand more, and maybe what I would have done is maybe integrated, I know it's about the watch review, and I'm not down talking the watch, but I want to kind of just let them to build more on their inspiration. So what I would have done is had the second hand, right, or maybe it would have been a little bit confusing to look at, but you could have done it, they could have done it in sort of a way to either make, you know, the indices the shape of the blades of the helicopter, right, or maybe made the, you know, the hands, mainly the they could have extended the second hand all the way through and had it be a double-sided second hand, and they just duplicated that shape perfectly to at least have that inspiration, the blades of this, and then if you look at the picture, you'll see kind of like these, like the metal's kind of got like this kind of pattern to it. I can't tell if it's like a kind of a checkered pattern almost. Maybe they're carbon fiber blades of some sort. That would be kind of cool to integrate that texture into that, and then maybe you know, as far as the legs of the copter, maybe something there. I just think they could have done a better job at integrating the theme in there. Maybe the solar panel somehow to really tie this, because without having these design aspects of the copter really tied into the watch, there's really, we could say it's inspired by anything. We could say this is inspired by Fat Cat Collections. There's nothing tying this to the helicopter other than having it engraved on the back. So although I love the brand Nubeo, and although I love the collaboration, and I am really enjoying these watches, and again, the quality's there, the look, most important, or one of the most important things is there, I just think really, if you're gonna tie a watch into a device or a theme, you have to have some kind of design elements to really make it themed, or just give it a name. Just call it Ingenuity and don't make any claims about the inspiration for the watch. Just make it called the Ingenuity. That's it. Just like Invicta does, the Zeus Bolt, right? Or the Aragon does the Millipede, although the Millipede band does have kind of like, you know, when you see it, you understand why. But I think just having it like their RGMT watch, you know, they just have a name for it, and that's it. What's that called? That's, you know, like the Boulevard. That's a Precisionist, you know. But I think they can work on that, and I hope they do. But ultimately, you know, it's not really, it's just very small, right? Because what's most important is what you're getting, you know, right? So what I really like about this 1/10 of a second chronograph, and let me just screw down the crown here, which it is a screw down crown. Non-screw down function pushers though. But when you activate the chronograph, if you look at this 1/10 of a second scale on top, or dial right there, watch it. When I activate it, see how it bounces back and forth? And when you pause it, it stops, so you can basically get the time, and I believe with a 1/10 of a second accuracy. When we go to reset it, we'll hit the lower button, and you'll see it snaps back. There we go, back to 0. So very cool. I gotta tell you, of all the watches that I own, the only one that's kind of similar to this in how the uniqueness of how the hands operate, it's like this is like a retrograde, a flipping retrograde. You know, I'm sure there's a technical term for this, but it's like reminds me of a retrograde dial that it can bounce back and forth, which is pretty cool. It's like a bidirectional retrograde dial. So really cool. When I didn't realize that when I first got the watch, I started playing with it. I was like, wow, that is really quite amazing. As far as lume on these, they're fantastic. Very colorful watch. You have a lot of aqua, or like a baby blue, orange, the black, and of course a little bit of yellow and red on that 1/10 of a second scale. A little bit of like a plastic or a rubberized, feels like a plastic coating around the crown. Dual push button deployment clasp with a safety lock. These definitely are secured to your wrist. I like these more than Invicta is always using the friction clasp. I just don't, you know, on paper maybe there's a reason for it, but I just really like how these latch. You know, they just seem like they're just long-term more durable. You know, they're not really dependent upon friction to hold them closed, whereas like the Invictus, you know, I don't know in, you know, 100, well, we won't be around, but, you know, I don't know what the longevity is like. I can tell you that longevity's been good for me for like the last 10 years, right, that I've had Invicta, but I like this. You know, I don't know, my mind just feels like this secures better. So let's talk about the check boxes. So for me, 3/16 stainless steel, big, heavy, bold, robust build. Let's talk about the movement here. This is, they say, Japanese quartz chronograph with date. Now, I am working at getting the specifications as far as which movements are used. They sent me a list the other day for, I don't think it was Nubeo, for one of their other brands, but you know, a lot of times they're using reputable name brand movements, whether it be Miyota, whether it be, you know, Seiko NH35s. In this case, I don't know which one this is, but I will find out. And as I get more information, I'll be adding this to the description, so you guys are aware of it. I'll probably put together like a kind of a spreadsheet and link it to every Nubeo video or every Dartmouth brand video, just so you guys can see the movement, because I know it is very important to most people out there, and it's worth mentioning which movement it has, right? So case diameter, 49 millimeters. Now, remember, that's 49 millimeters at the bezel. So this watch, that old saying I hate to use in the watch community, it wears like a 50, you know. I always say a watch wears exactly how it measures. But in this case, and when it comes to square watches and how they measure it, they're measuring this at the bezel. So when you look at the size of the case actually overlaps the bezel quite a bit. And because it is a square case and not a round case, you pick up a lot of size around each side of the case, right? So to me, this really wears more like, I'd say like a 52. But let me get my trusty classic rolling ruler out. And let's see what it measures lug to, or let's see, let's go diagonally. Because really, you know, if you look at it straight on, the bezel, the width minus the crown is still 49 millimeter. But if we look at this from diagonal perspective, we're almost at like 60 millimeters. So say 58 millimeter from corner to corner. And I think that's more of a fair way to measure this watch. It definitely does wear larger than a 49, because technically it is larger than a 49. Maybe using the term it wears larger isn't really the right way of saying it. Really, it measures larger than a 49. It's a big watch. So big, heavy, bold, great construction. Nice unidirectional bezel. I know I always joke about this. I'm like beating a dead horse on this, but bezel smooth, no back play, and frankly, very rarely have I seen a watch that has any back play. So you know, don't be fooled, folks. 16.9 millimeters in case thickness, not too huge. Again, that is subjective, but still a nice wrist presence without being too large, right? Mineral lens with anti-reflective coating, so you're not getting that sapphire. That is a checkbox for some people, but I always say it shouldn't be, you know, because ultimately a guy who is going to scratch or crack a crystal generally will probably do that to any crystal, right? So I think that if you're careful, it's not really something to worry about. And I've smacked all my watches on walls and brick walls and, you know, hit them on door jambs, and I've never damaged anything, you know. So I just think, you know, I just don't really, you know, I've said it many times, sapphire is more scratch resistant, but more shatter prone than something like a mineral, which is going to be less scratch resistant. And when I say less, it's not like, oh, you got to be careful now. You're not going to scratch any of these. I mean, it's very difficult to scratch any of these. So I just don't think, I'd rather have something a little softer that's going to be more impact resistant. And that's what you get when you start to go head towards acrylic. So I think this kind of gives you a little bit of both. 28 millimeter solid stainless steel bracelet with fold over buckle with safety lock. You do have 20 ATMs of water resistance, and that's really about it for the spec, guys. I mean, just a big, bold, beefy, beautiful watch. Awesome chronograph function. I like, again, that's just different than your classic Rondas. Although I don't know which movement's using this, but you know, when we look at a lot of the Invictas, we have the same Z60 in most of their watches. Again, not knocking it, it's awesome, but I like this is different. I also like that this particular chronograph movement, you'll notice the large second hand is actually designed for telling time. It's not part of the chronograph. So when you're actually timing something, your chronograph functions in the background. The second hand is not affected. Let me just activate that again. And you can see that it does stop, of course, and the chronograph activates, but once you pause it, it starts timing again, and then reset it. So the Rondas, like the Z60s, you have a separate subdial that acts as your second hand for your normal day-to-day time telling. When you activate the chronograph, the large second hand is what's used for the chronograph function, which to me, I like to see the second hand moving, and a lot of folks make the mistake of with those Rondas is having the second hand always moving, thinking it needs to be moving, and then they burn through their batteries. So I like this movement a lot, and it's definitely something I hope that maybe you might see in some Invictas or Aragons one of these days for those quartz watches. But awesome watch. Can't say enough good about it. It's been on my radar for a while. Without further ado, let's throw on the wrist, show you guys what it looks like. So I have a 7-inch wrist. I weigh about 180 pounds. And I'm almost 5'8". So this is what it looks like. I got my size, my height, and my weight. You can see it is a tank of a watch. Big, bold, robust. And if you are a guy who likes watches like this, you'll definitely appreciate this. Another thing I really like about it is that there's not a lot of square watches out there. And I don't come back to go, I know about this. Yes, there are square watches out there, but primarily, most watches you see are going to be round. I like that this is just a big chunk of just square goodness. It's huge. I mean, look at that sucker. It's a massive watch and sure to get noticed if that's what you're going for. But love it, very happy with it, and I think you guys are going to like it. So as always, guys, the link is in the description of every single video. With Nubeo, again, there's a Fat Cat Collections coupon code in there. I encourage you to take advantage of it if you are going to be ordering any of the Nubeo watches. And always, if you guys are interested in this stuff, remember to drop me a comment and drop me an email if you have any kind of concerns or questions. I'm always here to help. As I learn about new pricing, what I generally do is come back and re-review or request another color. Hence, just like the Magellan I just reviewed, when they first came out or were first sent to me, they were in the white version, white and gold. They were about $900, $1,200, something like that. Right now, they slashed the price on that. They're $199. So take advantage of the sale. And I think they're going to, as time goes on, they're going to have certain watches go on special where you really can't pass them up. Same thing with the RGMT line. I encourage you to check that out as well. And really all the Dartmouth brands. But I'm going to say this. That for you guys who really appreciate the big, bold watches, your two go-to under the Dartmouth brands are going to be Nubeo and RGMT. Quality on par, again, just like all the Dartmouth brands, but if you like the big, bold, robust style watch, these are your two brands under Dartmouth. Again, like I said, they have about 8 or 9 other different brands. I'm going to be putting links to every single one of those brands in the description of future videos. I just haven't got around to changing the other videos, but I want you guys to check out all their watches, because you're getting a level of quality that, again, I'm not saying that Dartmouth brands or quality beats everybody else, like the argument a lot of dudes make who review stuff that like it, right? The quality's on par. Like I've said, when it comes to quality, you have okay, right? These are basic quality watches, and then you have good. And when you have good, there's really not a lot of gripe for most people. We can nitpick everything to death. We can be like, oh, I don't like the sound of the bezel on this particular watch, or this clasp is milled as opposed to stamped. Remember, neither are going to fall off your wrist. A legitimate gripe for a guy. I should say really any gripe that you personally have is legitimate for you, right? So if you want sapphire and you won't buy a watch without sapphire, I think you're missing out on a lot of really great watches for that reason. But ultimately you have to buy. It's your money. You're going to spend it how you want, and you should spend it how you want. But giving you guys my opinions based on I wear these things. I'm not some dude on the shopping network who is showing them off and then they go back in the case and then I go put on my Rolex. You know what I mean? I'm a guy who wears these things every single day, no matter what I'm doing. Granted, if I'm crawling around the concrete under my car, I'm going to take off any watch I'm wearing, even a $10 watch. But for the most part, these watches are on my wrist every day. They get used. They bounce around when I'm running on the track. A lot of times I wear them while lifting. I put them through normal life. And so today we're going out on the boat. Probably going to rock one of the watches on the boat. That's another great test too, because it's around salt water. And generally, you know, like any watch, even 904, guys, you got to rinse it thoroughly after you're done. But and get in the cracks and corners. Don't skimp on the H2O on that. But you know, it's fun to kind of take these out and get a few wrist shots when you're on the water. Because let's face it, most watches that I do review are sort of dive-related watches. So pretty fun. So again, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to ask. I'm always here to help you guys out. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. For you folks who join me in my live feeds, I can't thank you enough. It's really fun to be able to interact on kind of a one-to-one basis with the folks who, who make this channel. You guys watch me. If nobody watches me, there is no channel. So, I appreciate it, and stay tuned for more, folks. Enjoy your day, be kind to one another, and take care.